On the last of November, I decided that attempting a knitting vlogmas where I post knitting related videos every day wasn't audacious enough. I decided to cast on a sweater for my partner in the hopes of having it finished by Christmas, which is the 24th of December in Sweden. This video is the first 3 days of that. And did I mention that this is supposed to be a surprise? So I won't be knitting it anywhere he can see me knitting it. So basically, anytime I can squeeze in on my lunch break or any meetings we have where I'm not required to take notes and I can just knit and listen at the same time. You can see it's still a bit light outside, but I'm just waiting for the inevitable darkness to sink. But I decided yesterday on a whim that I'm going to try and make my partner's Christmas present for Christmas. So for some backstory, over the summer we went to Norway, and in Norway we visited Sandnes, and when in Sandnes you visit Sandnes Garn, and my partner picked out an alpaca yarn in this gorgeous dark brown colour together with an aubergine colour and an off-white, and told me that he would like a sweater out of it, or rather I asked him if he wanted a sweater, and in that case what he would like. So he didn't place an order with me. I actually asked him, and he is a very knit-worthy person, so I am going to knit him a sweater. I knit him a sweater last year, a companion sweater to one that I made for myself later, the Randrangi by Dag Bjørk Gudmundsdottir, and we decided together for this year to go for the Wanderer pullover. This is a sweater with 3 colours, but I think it's only held with 2 colours at once at any given time. So I think it's going to look good with the colourways that we've chosen, because in this pattern as well there is a colour with there is base colour, a colour with a lot of contrast to the base colour, and a colour with less contrast, and that is exactly what I have too. So this is a pattern that is worked in sections, bottom up, and it's a raglan decrease which is then seamed together, all 4 pieces. I've never seamed a sweater together, I've always just knit in one piece, or rather I have knit, hang on, how many sweaters have I knit now? I haven't knit too many sweaters, but the Handrangi is knit bottom up as well, so you join the sleeves, you knit the sleeves up until you join them, and then you knit the round yoke, that's the Swedish talking, yoke. And the Aurora Borealis sweater that I made was knit top down, so the sleeves were knit directly onto the pattern or onto the body. Same thing with my self-drafted Paul Klee, Hilma af Klint inspired sweater that was also knitted top down in a round yoke construction. So I haven't knit a lot with raglan, if at all, actually. So this is going to be a lot of new things because I'm going to be working flat, I'm going to be working colour work back and forth, so I'll be doing colour work in the flat, which I've never done before, I think, and I'm going to try to make it happen in 24 days. Today is the 1st of December, and today my goal was to make a gauge swatch. So the recommended yarn is a DK weight yarn. yeah, a DK weight. The needles for the main body is recommended 4.5, and for the ribbing, for the neck ribbing, 4mm needle. And I brought my Knit Pro kit to work because I'm trying to be sneaky about it. I don't want my pod to know that I'm knitting this. We'll see how long it takes and if I get away with it. But I only had my 5mm needles and my 4mm needles on hand in that kit. I don't know where my 4.5mm are. Probably somewhere. But I'm now knitting just back and forth to see what I end up with for gauge. So hang on, I'll show you. I started knitting because this gauge swatch calls for a 20 stitch and 28 row for 4 inches in just the stockinette. So I did a 35 or something square because you want the square to be a bit bigger so you can measure the gauge swatch in the very middle to see what it looks like when you're not being affected by the edging. So I made the 5mm swatch down here, and then I switched to a 4mm needle up here, and you can see that I added purl bumps, and that is after seeing a trick on Reddit, I think, for keeping track of your gauge swatches. Someone said that they just add purl bumps for the needle size, so they don't have to keep track of what size it is and lose track of your notes or mixing things up. So I have 4 purl bumps up here. I should technically have done 8, so I could have had a 0.5 increment as well. And I did it with 5 down here. I tried yarn overs and holes, but that wasn't as clear, so purl bumps I definitely think are clearer to me, and that doesn't affect the gauge swatch in its entirety. So I can make a small note to myself without messing up how I'll measure this later on. So I'll finish this in my afternoon break. I need to knit a few more rows for this. Then I will block it here at work, leave it to dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll come back and see what this actually ends up. Because I've never knit with this yarn before. This is 100% alpaca. This is 50 grams for 110 meters. And this was it was secondhand sorted because I think the colour is being discontinued, but we found enough of these in the right dye lot, in the same dye lot. So I think that I should be fine for this. So I don't know if the yarn will bloom or how it will behave, but I will find that out after I block this. And since it's such a small swatch, I'm confident it's going to dry overnight and I can get started on this tomorrow. It has a few different interesting construction things that I haven't worked with yet. I'm excited to learn new things, but at the same time, I feel confident that, the sleeves and the body up until the colourwork section is going to be fairly easy. It's going to be super easy because it's just a straight up and down stockinette. And I don't fear purling. I've seen some people online now talking about how they hate purling, how they'll do anything to avoid having to purl for basically any amount of time. But I haven't really. I don't know if it's because I knit continental, that it doesn't really affect the way that I hold my yarn. There's no risk of me wrapping the yarn in the wrong direction to get a twisted stitch. but for whatever reason, it might just be that I didn't have the internet before I learned how to purl, so I didn't learn that it's supposed to be difficult. But for whatever reason, I don't hate purling, so it will be fine. I do, however, hate purling twisted stitches or twisting my purls. That is awful. But I'm not going to do that in this because I want it to be a full, stretchy fabric in the stockinette. It's going to look gorgeous. I love the colour. It's going to look so cute on my partner. He has just the right colouring for this brown too. Lovely. Let's see what happens.
I didn't I bring my knitting? I mean, I have a knitting. I have some knitting to do, but I thought that I brought my tape measure and my sock knitting. That's what I get for trying to be hasty. Okay, so what I had planned now is to measure my gauge swatch. I dunked it in warm water yesterday, let it sit for 10 minutes while I was chatting to a coworker, and then I hung it up to dry, or I just hung it over the back of a chair to dry, and I wanted to see now what that ended up being. But I don't have a tape measure here. I'm sure we have a ruler somewhere. Let me be your ruler, ruler. Yeah, I'll go find a ruler. Oh, I don't want to. Crisis averted, I found a ruler. So to measure this, I'm going to find 10 centimeters across and 10 centimeters down and count how many stitches that is and how many rows it is to see if I am closer to the 5mm or the 4mm. Okay, 25 stitches, 25 rows for the 5mm. 29 rows for the 4mm needles. What do we have in stitch? I'll just write this down because I will forget. 29. 20 stitches and 20 rows for the 5mm needle. This is why you do a bigger gauge swatch than the stitches you actually need, because it's going to curl a bit and the edging is going to be wonky about itself. 23 stitches. And what did I need? 20 stitches and 28 rows in the larger needles. 20 stitches. But I don't think that I particularly liked the bigger gauge. Do I try to figure out some maths? Because I don't know if the floats are going to look too obvious through this, the bigger gauge. Okay, so the 4mm needle is definitely closer than the 5mm one, because the row gauge is 29 with the 4mm needle, opposed to 28 in the goal gauge, but the stitch count is 23 opposed to the 20 it's supposed to be. So I could go down a teeny tiny bit, or I could knit a bit of a smaller size, and this is a 15% increase. So if I want a 110 centimeter plus 1 inch positive ease, which would be 112.5 centimeters, and I have a 15% increase in my stitch gauge, I need to do a size that's 15% smaller than it's supposed to be. Right? Probably. I will have to figure this out when I'm not on a break, because I do not have time. I have to do some work. But I don't want to. I want to figure this out. I look absolutely exhausted. It's been such a long day, and the day will continue with some lovely plans. My partner has planned a surprise dinner. I don't know where we're going. I just know that we have something planned, and I know where-ish to meet him. But I love little surprises like this. Therefore, I think it's so much lovelier to be able to give him this sweater as a surprise, because I really love surprising the people that I love. And man, is it... Okay. I have practiced my same hand, left-handed, double-stranded colour work. So, or two-stranded, whatever. So I keep one of my yarns on my index finger and the other on my long finger. No, that's not what it's called. Middle finger, long finger in Swedish. That works perfectly fine when I'm working in the round. But this is knit flat. And it took me a little while to realise, it took me one row to realise that when I hold my yarn like that, I always get my yarn back to the back. And when I'm working the wrong side, that means the floats are in the front, or they are visible on the front. So that is not what the pattern is supposed to be like. And I had to change it up. So right now I'm holding my pearl colour, so the colour that is a pearl on the front. I'm holding that in my left hand, and I'm holding my main colour, which is the knit row, the knit stitch. And I'm holding the yarn that is my main colour, so the brown, in my right hand, and sort of flicking it over. And the tension difference between, you see right there, is a tiny little knit stitch, and there is a huge knit stitch after that, and then there is a tiny little knit stitch, and then there is a huge knit stitch. So my tension is not good at all when it comes to flicking. This is a practice piece. I am more or less convinced that I will have to frog all of this, but I've worked a bit of the rib, and I'm also not convinced entirely that this needs to be knit flat and then seamed together. How difficult could it be to figure out how to make this in the round instead of knitting it flat? And then again, I don't want to chicken out. I don't want to go for a construction that I know without having tried this version. So I think that at this point I will just continue on. It does look a bit small, but also it's a rib, it's a double knit, or it's a 2-color rib, so of course it's going to look a bit strange or cinched in. So I'm going to knit probably, I don't know, a row or 2 more, and then I'll be ready for the long day of meetings that I have tomorrow, because that is going to be an entire day of stockinette stitch with the brown colour. And I really like how these colours work together. They are fairly similar in tone, but not in shade, or the other way around. So they make sort of a contrast in the richness of the colour, but it doesn't look, I don't think it looks odd in any way. I think it's going to be a cheeky little detail with the rib being contrasted with the red, or the aubergine, and then the brown stockinette portion. So this is the back piece that I'm now starting. I love that they gave me the back piece to practice, because I want to have a hang on the pattern before I actually start knitting the front, where the pattern will be more visible. I have clocked out, but I wanted to stay because this is going to be a secret project that I only do when my partner isn't looking. And at this point, oh no, at this stage it's going to be a work project, but tomorrow afternoon I am leaving for Gothenburg. I'll be gone for a little over 24 hours. Hang on, what am I doing? And I'll do some knitting on this project on the train and in the meetings in Gothenburg, because I'm going for some training. And the training is mostly just listening and talking, but if I'm just going to be knitting stockinette, I can listen at the same time. I was double checking and triple checking that I wasn't twisting my stitches, because I've been on the knitting subreddit enough to know that a lot of beginners twist their pearls accidentally because they wrap the yarn around the wrong way. But I don't think, but I've checked and my stitches aren't twisted. And as you can see, I'm fighting for my life, trying to keep an even tension and miserably failing. But I have 3 more cuffs like this to, no, hang on, that was supposed to be brown. I have 3 more cuffs like this to do for the front and the 2 sleeves. And I don't know what the neckline wants, but probably one of these as well. So hopefully I will have learned by then how to keep an even tension in my 2 coloured rib. I mean, I think I like the effect if done properly, and I think I will like the effect once it is part of an entirety. But right now I'm very excited to just start knitting the stockinette portion. I am also very happy about people starting their Vlogmas series. I am obviously contributing to the Vlogmas mass this year, but I really enjoy, and I have enjoyed, watching Vlogmas videos for years. And I am happy to see all the knitting related Vlogmases coming out, or crafting Vlogmases, in general. I saw that Knits by AJ has published her first Vlogmas today. I downloaded it and I will be watching it on the train going into the city, which I'm getting on in a few minutes. Just one more round, one more row. And I saw that Laura Penrose has posted her first Vlogmas episode as well. And I posted my second Vlogmas episode today about knitting myself some Christmas mood. But basically it's me ranting about different franchises being corrupted by people who have abysmal views on human rights. So it didn't end up being the cozy video that I was aiming for, but it felt like a quite honest video, an honest insight into my thinking processes about how to find Christmas spirit at the current climate. But I am curious to see where we're going tonight. I mean, Stockholm is a beautiful city and has a really rich restaurant scene. And my partner is definitely more of a foodie than I am. So he will have chosen something fun or interesting or good. So I'm curious to see. I just wish that I had thought about it this morning when I left for work, because I feel quite underdressed. I don't think we're going anywhere super fancy, but I wish that I had had time to, do something with my hair or find some cute jewellery to wear. Because right now I just look like I've spent a day at the office and it's been a long day, because it really has. See, now that I was talking about not twisting my stitches, I am starting to second guess myself, but no, why should I second guess myself? These stitches are not twisted. No. I know what twisted stitches look like, and this is not it. Good. Okay, I think I'll actually stop there for the rib and go on with the stockinette portion. Feels like a good place to start tomorrow. I like these colours together. They are yummy. They do look quite edible. I'm hungry. I should go. But this is the update for day number 2 for the Secret Wonder pullover, which I'm hoping will be my Christmas miracle this year. I'm absolutely knackered. I got to the hotel I'm staying at the boat again. Last time I got a really shitty room, but I really thought it was a cute place, and honestly it was one of the cheapest, closest options to where I was going anyway, so I booked it again, and I got a really, really nice room this time. And I spent some time on the train knitting. I was convinced that I was going to run out of yarn. So yesterday I packed my bag to go to work today, and obviously to Gothenburg today and for tomorrow as well. And I forgot to pack my bag of useful stuff, so my tape measure and my scissors and things. So I thought that I must have just been very confused when I packed, because I could only find 2 balls of my main colour yarn. So this morning I knit up one of the balls, and I started knitting on the second when I realised that I'm going to run out of this, because I have the entire train trip, and I have the entire day tomorrow, and I have the train trip home tomorrow, and I want to be able to knit today and tomorrow. So I only knit a tiny bit on the train before just editing instead, and then I came to the hotel now, unpacked my bag, and found a 3rd ball of yarn of my main colour in the bottom of my bag. So past me was very kind to present me, so, and future me for that matter too, because tomorrow I'm going to have a long day. I will be knitting. My plan is to finish the stockinette portion while I'm in the training, just listening, and then on the train I plan on knitting some of the colour work, because I brought both of my contrasting colours for that. So I hope that I will get some of the colour work done tomorrow. But I'll show you the progress that I made now on these 3 days. It's curled up, you can't see this. Yeah, so this is a ball and then some, and I think I know why the yarn was second sorting, why it was being sold for less, because I think that the dye lot is inconsistent. I think I can see a change in the dye in the middle of one of the balls, in the middle of the first balls. I think there might be some dye inconsistencies, so I will see how it actually works up. If it's too noticeable, then I'll have to think of something, but if it isn't, it might just be a design feature. So I think I'll end this video here, the first 3 days of the hopefully Christmas miracle of the Wanderer pullover. You've seen me gauge swatch, you've seen me cast on and do a 2-coloured rib back and forth in the flat, is that, you know what I mean, and you've seen me knit a bunch of stockinette, although I don't know that I actually filmed a lot of it, but just trust me, I did a lot of back and forth in stockinette. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel, and you will see, probably in a few days, how my work is progressing on the Wanderer pullover. Take care of yourself. Good night. I am going to bed.